Welcome to Reality Theory episode 6. And this is a very special, kind of different episode of Reality Theory. For our previous episode, we've been focusing on history, JFK assassination, MLK assassination, people like H.L. Hunt. But today we're going to be focusing on current events in the terms of the missing woman, Anna Walshe, and her husband, Brian Walshe. And there's two reasons we're going to focus on this case is number one is actually no Brian Walshe. I went to high school with him 30 years ago when we were friendly, however you want to call it. Didn't stay in touch. We couldn't, not that friendly or not that good friends, but we were friends 30 years ago. And his case actually does have to do with espionage, and a lot of the research and work that I do has to do with espionage. I wrote a book, Inside the CIA's Secret War in Jamaica, in which I really extensively researched the CIA and their tactics and methods. And I also have researched the KGB or the FSB, the Pakistani ISI, the Cuban DCI, all sorts of intelligence agencies. I've researched and done a lot of work and writing about what these agencies do and their tactics do. The Mossad, MI6, all sorts of the Saudi intelligence. So there's lots of intelligence agencies. And this story actually ties directly into the intelligence world. So that's why I thought it would be a great episode for Reality Theory, a way we could keep things current. I think it's important that people do know about history, but I do think when we watch history unfold, it's very important to watch it. And so we're going to go into the case of Brian and Anna Walshe and why I don't think he did it, not just because I know him or knew him 30 years ago, but because the facts don't really add up to me, and there's a big part of the story that a lot of people are not talking about, and we'll get into that right now with Anna Walshe, right? So we're going to look at, here is Brian to the right. Looks pretty much like I remember her, maybe a little more bald and gained a little weight as we all do. And there is his attractive wife from Serbia, Anna Walshe, previously Anna Nip, and then before that she had a name that was Serbian that I cannot pronounce. But okay, so let's go into why I do not think that Brian Walshe killed his wife like everybody else does. Now, here is a story from about 2 weeks ago. In the New York Post, residents of Anna Walshe managed DC building fear phony agents cover-up. And here we have a subtitle. A tenant of Anna Walshe said the missing Massachusetts mom had a meltdown shortly before disappearing. So this is a very interesting article, and I haven't seen too many people talk about it. I've seen a lot of people talk about the Anna Walshe case, but I've seen very few people talk about what was actually going on at her job in DC at this time, which I think is very important to the case. So let's take a look at this New York Post article. Washington, missing Massachusetts mom, Anna Walshe, managed a Washington, D.C. apartment building being infiltrated by phony federal agents, and residents say she was hiding information about the bizarre episode. Members of the Tenant Association of the Crossing Building, which houses journalists and government workers in the upstart Navy Yard neighborhood near the Capitol, say they fear Arian and Taherzadeh and Haider Ali will avoid a full public airing of their actions, and that Walsh's employer, Tishman Speyer, is withholding scandalous details from them. Walshe, 39, was described to the Post as very forceful and shady in her handling of the aftermath of the scandal, even claiming to tenants on one occasion that she wasn't Anna Walshe, in an apparent effort to duck their questions following the April 6th FBI raid that busted Ali and Taherzadeh. Taherzadeh pleaded guilty in August to crimes including conspiracy, unlawful possession of a large capacity ammunition feeding device, and voyeurism. Voyeurism, that's an interesting one. Ali pleaded guilty in October to conspiracy, bank fraud, and unlawful possession of a large capacity ammunition feeding device. He will be sentenced February 24th. Taherzadeh does not have a sentencing date yet. Many questions remain unanswered about the bizarre case in which the duo stockpiled tactical gear, weapons, ammunition, and surveillance equipment while providing free rent to a Secret Service agent and lavishing gifts and flashing badges to an array of local and federal law enforcement officers while claiming to represent the non-existent U.S. Special Police. So they're pretending to be part of an agency that doesn't exist, the U.S. Special Police. These people are all running around Anna Walshe's building while she is the manager of the building. One tenant provided a post with a photo of what one of the imposters said was a master key code, meaning that they may have been able to plant cameras throughout the building, as questions remain about whether they were associated with foreign actors as well as Washington security agencies while infiltrating the complex. I personally viewed on Arian's phone footage showing residents engaged in nefarious behavior from cameras in other areas of the building which were not connected to the ones in their individual units. A lot of surveillance going on. In addition to claiming to be part of the Department of Homeland Security, the Justice Department says Ali boasted that he had links to Pakistani intelligence and possessed a passport with 2 Iranian visas from 2019 to 2020, as well as 3 older Pakistani visas. So this guy is saying a lot of things, and we know to be lies that have been disproven, that he was not a member of the USSP, the United States Special Police. That's not proven, but he did say that he did have links to Pakistani intelligence. That has not been disproven. I think in another document I read, he also claimed to have ties to the Saudi royal family. Authorities say Taherzadeh and Ali compromised United States Secret Service USS personnel involved in protective details and with access to the White House complex by lavishing gifts upon them, including rent-free living. Now, I believe one of these Secret Service people was assigned to protect Joe Biden's wife, and another one was assigned to protect Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States. And none of them have been fired. They've all just been put on leave. One member of the Secret Service was allowed by the men to live rent-free in a penthouse from February 2021 to January 2022 at a market cost of more than $40,000, while another federal law enforcement officer's rent in the building also was covered, authorities say. Taherzadeh also used his surveillance equipment to clandestinely record women in sexual activity and shared footage with other people. So he's secretly recording women having sex. Who knows they're having sex with? Could be men, could be women, I guess, but could be themselves. But he's recording these women having sex, which is grossly illegal and highly improper. Throughout their tenancy, no rent was paid on the leased apartments or parking garage. This resulted in a loss to the building of $300,987 and to the garage of $7,854. So while Anna Walshe is managing this building that houses these journalists and these Secret Service people, it's being defrauded of $300,000 by people who don't really work there, and I guess either conned her into believing that they were secret police and not paying rent, or she was in on it with them for this to happen. So this happens in April. They got busted, April of 2022. The alleged fake feds also set up surveillance in the building and told residents they could access their cell phones and personal information, investors said. Remember that. We're going to get back to that. We're going to get back to these people accessing other people's cell phones and personal information. Now, here is some stuff from the affidavit, from the paperwork of stuff that they found in Ali and Hazadeh's apartment that they were running their spy scheme, secret police out of. So law enforcement recovered numerous electronic devices, including, among other things, a significant quantity of surveillance equipment, approximately 30 hard drive copying equipment, a computer server containing 6 modules, a machine to create and program personal identification verification cards, fake IDs, and blank cards with embedded chips. That could be fake credit cards, a currency counter, so they're making some bread, several subscriber identification modules, SIM cards, so they have different SIM cards for different phones. So a lot of crazy spy stuff is going on in this apartment. They have a lot of equipment that's normally used for espionage, surveilling people, possibly killing people, possibly stealing data. Law enforcement also recovered tactical gear and storage equipment, clothing with police insignia, so they were pretending to be all sorts of different kinds of police. Police parking placards, so they had the, they could park and pretend they're police anywhere. A latent fingerprint kit, okay, so they're getting fingerprints from people, very interesting. And equipment for breaching a door, including a sledgehammer, ram, Halligan tool, lock picking kit, and axe. With respect to documents, law enforcement seized, among other things, a binder containing a list of residents, so all the journalists and Secret Service people that are there, apartment numbers and contact information, a DHS procedures manual, a federal law enforcement training center, FLETC manual, law enforcement use only documents, immigration documents for a number of individuals. Okay, very, very espionage-oriented stuff being found with these guys. Law enforcement also recovered a rifle scope, tactical gear and storage equipment, clothing and patches with police insignias, handheld radios, a high-end drone, a gas mask, handcuffs, zip ties, breaching equipment, a cleaning kit for firearms, an ultraviolet flashlight, an RF G5 K18, which is used to locate hidden cameras, microphones, and RF transmitters, i.e. vehicle treatment. So they have counter surveillance equipment as well as surveillance equipment in their apartment of super spying them. All right, now here is Mr. Ali, the Pakistani gentleman, Haider Ali. With respect to Ali, law enforcement recovered 2 passports, the first of which expired in June of 2020 and a second issued in October of 2020 with an expiration date of October of 2030. Ali's expired passports contained several visas authorizing foreign travel. For instance, this passport contained 2 visas authorizing travel from the Islamic Republic of Iran. Excuse me. The first visa that was allowed entry July 31st, 2019 through October 28th, 2019, and second visa that allowed entry from October 28th, 2019 through January 5th, 2020. The government has identified at least 4 journey exit stamps from the Mashhad International Airport in Mashhad, Ravi, Kari, Arian. So he's connected to Iran, but he is Pakistani. He's told people he's Pakistani intelligence and has connections to the Saudi royal family. Very interesting. All right, so the abundance of evidence I'm hearing against Brian are these Google searches that he made on his 6-year-old son's iPad, right? And he's making the most stupidest Google searches a criminal could ever make. How can I get caught killing my wife? How do I kill my wife and get caught doing it? He's literally, these are the stupidest things anyone could do if they want to commit a crime and are familiar with digital forensics. Now, Ryan was very familiar with digital forensics because we'll get to it, but he sold and was convicted for selling fake Andy Warhols. And the FBI investigated for him and he was convicted. But in the process, the FBI went through all his email addresses, all his phones, everything. So he went through a full forensic investigation previously by the FBI, which led him to be on house arrest, right? But they're trying to say that this guy who, I went to high school with him, and it was a high school for very bright students, and he was a very bright student, that this guy is so stupid that he is going to Google everything about, how to hide or get rid of his wife's body. But he, at the same time, he's so smart that they can't find the body, right? He's on some mafia, Jimmy Hoffa level criminal where he can make a body disappear after just Googling a few seconds ago how to make a body disappear. It doesn't make any sense. So the Google searches do not make sense to me, and here's what I think is happening. Remember, I said that the Haider Ali and Taherzadeh, I'm sorry if I can't pronounce his name, that they were telling people that they could get access to people's cell phones and personal information. So I asked Chatbot GPT if it's possible and I asked my friend Ed Opperman, who works in digital forensics, if it is possible for someone to put a fake Google search into someone's phone, iPad, or computer. And here's the answer. It's possible for someone to fake Google searches by hacking into another person's device. This can be done by gaining access to the device and using it to perform searches, or by using a program to simulate searches from the device. So you can simulate Google searches on someone's computer from outside of their computer if you can hack. And we've seen by the kind of surveillance equipment and the kind of digital hacking stuff like SIM cards, hard drive readers, that these guys are, digital hacking experts, right? And you would think that they would be able to hack a 6-year-old's iPad. So the only real evidence I've seen personally against Brian is these Google searches, which could have been done by anybody, really, and especially as someone in the intelligence world who wanted to set him up, right? So let's look at okay, and now let's go on. Let's look at what they said. It is possible that an individual or organization with advanced hacking capabilities, such as a government intelligence agency, could hypothetically gain access to someone's device and use it to perform fake Google searches. Okay, so that's all the evidence against him. And we see his wife is caught up in a very, very world full of espionage and sniper rifles and computer recording devices, a very interesting world of espionage, right? And the only evidence against him is the fake Google searches. So let's get another kind of look into Anna Walshe, right? She was previously implicated in the Fake Warhols. A lot of people just kind of, heard the story that Brian Walshe was convicted of selling these fake Warhols and they're kind of using it to paint him as a sketchy character. But his wife was involved in selling these fake Warhols as well. So this is from Fox News. Although she was not ultimately prosecuted for her alleged role in the fraud. Get out of here. The affidavit, which identifies her previous last name, Nip, says she participated in the sales of the painting, accusing her of having communicated with the purchaser who got duped and handling the phony artwork prior to the sale. She handled the phony artwork prior to the sale. She was also named in a lawsuit brought by the buyer of the counterfeit works, LA Gallery owner and hip-hop impresario Ron Rivlin. Brian transferred approximately $115,000 directly to Anna from the funds that came from the victim. So Anna is getting the money. Brian did not get the money from the sale. It was done on her eBay account, and it looks to me like he is the one taking the fall for his wife in terms of the Fake Warhols, right? So he's right now, was on house arrest at the time because of this Fake Warhol case. We see that Anna Walshe is definitely connected to a lot of shady characters who were involved in forgery in terms of fake IDs and fake documents. Could also be connected to people who make fake paintings. I don't know how Brian would have been able to fake a Warhol. I don't know if he had those kind of capabilities, but he definitely got one in his hands. And, no one is talking about his wife's involvement with these kind of fake Warhols, and they're just trying to use it to kind of smear his character. So let's look into the history of Anna Walshe. From 2000 to 2008, she attended the University of Belgrade in Belgrade, Serbia, where she earned her bachelor's degree in French language and literature. So I'm guessing from the same time she was attending the University of Belgrade, she was also traveling the United States, possibly on a work visa, because from May 2005 to December 2005, she worked at the Inn at Little Washington in Washington, Virginia, USA, as a housekeeping attendant or a maid. I don't know if maid is a derogatory term, but that's a commonly used term. I would, call these people. From May 2006 to September 2006, she worked there as a server. So she goes there, I guess it looks like she's working there from the summer. And during the summer, she works as a maid and a server. And I'm guessing she goes back to Serbia for to learn in the fall and spring. From May 2007 to August 2007, she worked for Interexchange in New York City, New York, as a program logistics coordinator. So Interexchange is like an hour pay agency. So she's setting up rich people with their nannies. Okay. In 2008, she met Brian Reza Walshe. Reza is an Iranian name. He's half Iranian. We'll get into that. At the Wheatley Hotel in Lenox, while she was married to Mark Nip. So she was married when she first met Brian. From May 2008 to September 2010, she worked in that hotel as reservations manager. So this is a very rich and luxurious hotel located in the Berkshires, which is in Western Massachusetts. From 2009 to 2010, she went to Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, where she earned a master's certificate in essentials of hospitality management. So she did not get a master's degree. She got a master's certificate in hospitality management. Cornell is definitely known for having one of the best hospitality hotel industry schools in the country. And so she started off as a maid, and now she got a big degree in hospitality management from Cornell, and she uses this to work at the front office of Willard Intercontinental Hotel in Washington, D.C. She continued working there from, oh my God, why did that stop? Okay. All right, let's stop. Stop share. All right. So we'll stop. We won't go through her whole work history, but she did wind up working at the Intercontinental Hotel in DC. Now, if you look at these hotels in DC, if you are an intelligence agent, working at a rich hotel in DC is an ideal place because all these rich and powerful people, whether they be journalists, politicians, businessmen, foreign businessmen, a lot of them come to these rich hotels in DC. And if you work at these hotels and you want information on these people, you can find out who is having sex with who is doing what drugs, right? You can find out who's being possibly compromised. There's a lot of information you can get from working in a hotel. You can find people's DNA through condoms. You could surveil people while they're on the phones just through working at these hotels. So she works at this hotel in DC for these years. Then she gets married to Brian, and she starts working at the same hotel chain, but in Boston. So another really rich, luxurious hotel. After that, she begins working for the Mutlu Group, which is a real estate group. So she's selling high-end real estate in Boston. And just last year, she starts working at this new company, Tishman Speyer, right? So that's the company that was running the crazy house where all the espionage and surveillance was going on. So she starts working there in February, and by January, her place gets raided. She doesn't get fired. She still works there. There's all sorts of illegal stuff going on where she's working. They're ripping her company off for hundreds of thousands of dollars while they are recording the residents, including Secret Service agents and also journalism, possibly for some type of extortion. I mean, it seems to be these agents are making friends under false pretenses with these Secret Service agents, possibly to get some type of leverage. And given all the recording equipment that these guys had, and they talked about recording people having sex, could be they were using that hotel for sexual blackmail, where they could get a powerful person in a type of compromising position, then they could have him having sex with someone who isn't his wife, or someone who isn't underage, or someone is maybe the same gender of them and they're not out homosexual. So there's a lot of different ways you can use these hotels and buildings and surveillance to help out in an espionage operation. So this is all very interesting to me in terms of Brian. And I know a lot of people are saying the motive is what the motive is, and they can't find the motive. And the one motive I said that they do have is, again, one of the could be fake Google searches where he said that he wanted to divorce his wife. And then also he said, how long does it take for someone's missing before he inherits the money? Now, so they're trying to frame the motive, because if you look at their relationship, they had a very good relationship for at least 10 years. There was some mention of him threatening her before they got married, and I'm not even sure that's him. I think that might be her ex-husband who is doing the threatening of him and Brian, not the opposite way around, not Brian threatening her, but I think it was her ex-husband threatening him and Brian, and I think they're twisting that on purpose to kind of paint him in a bad light. So, but the motive that they're really trying to frame him for is that he's doing it for the inheritance, right? Because there was no friction, there's no like other women. So saying he's trying to do it for the inheritance, and she did have a fairly fairly established real estate portfolio worth maybe like 2.83 million, which is a lot of money. But Brian comes from a lot of money, right? He comes from a lot of money. He did have a disagreement with his father in which they said he was cut off from his will, but he had a good relationship with his mother, and his mother was paying all his legal fees, basically, which was like $600,000 legal fees for the Andy Warhol case. And he had a good relationship with his mother. He was due to inherit a lot of money from his mother. So, but the motivation that they're saying is that he killed her for the inheritance. So he wanted to raise these 3 kids by himself. He has kids 2, 4, and 6, right? So he's raising these kids by himself because he wants to kill his wife so he can get her inheritance, which he would probably get way more from his mother, and when she passed. And if he really, God forbid, he was an evil creep and wanted to kill someone, his mother's sick, he's taking care of his mother. So if he wanted to kill someone just for inheritance, one would think he would kill his mom and not his wife, right? And he's on house arrest, being investigated by the FBI, right? And still decides to kill his wife for no other reason than the inheritance when he's a rich kid who's come from money his whole life. It really doesn't make sense. And they seem to be framing it like they can't find a body. They said another thing, they're using digital forensics again as proof that she's dead. They're saying, well, she hasn't used her credit card or been on a cell phone in a week, so she's dead. So we're not gonna look for her body, which is really stupid because especially if she's involved in the world of espionage. If you're involved in the world of espionage, you know how to get off the grid. You know how to not use your credit cards, not post on social media. You know basically how to hide and get low. And we've seen with her colleagues at the building that she was running that these guys had fake passports. They had all sorts of fake IDs. They could get out of the country very easily. So there's no proof that she's even actually dead. And so the reason I think he's being framed is I think that this is a major scandal going on at this building she was running. And one way that intelligence agencies do stop scandals from happening is they can make people disappear. They could do this a number of ways, right? They could fly you back to whatever country you're from to give you a new identity. They could kill you. And intelligence agencies are very capable of getting rid of bodies, way more capable than Brian Walshe, this far from a mastermind criminal at all, who allegedly Googles these things and then becomes a mastermind criminal and hides a body. He's not capable of hiding a body. The intelligence agencies are definitely capable of hiding a body. And it's tough to say what intelligence agencies are involved here because he did say that he worked for the Pakistani ISI, right? Now, Pakistani ISI is also connected to Saudi intelligence and also connected to the CIA. But these agencies, they spy on each other. They go into something. He could be Iranian. He visited Iran several times. His partner, whose name is very hard for me to pronounce, I've been trying. That's an Iranian name. So his partner had an Iranian Persian Baha'i name. So may possibly Iranian intelligence, could be the Mossad. The Mossad at times uses Arab agents to infiltrate people, and they have been known to spy on Americans as well. So it's really tough to say what intelligence agency that his wife was affiliated with or working with. But if she was exposed or caught, it could have been a major scandal. And in one way, like I said, they disappear you. Now, killing someone is one way to do it, right? That way, no testifying, no investigation. So if she was killed, it's possibly they could be behind it. But there's no evidence that she's dead. I could turn off my cell phone and not use my bank card for a month, and that doesn't mean I'm dead, right? Especially if you are in some type of spy, right? You probably have 30,000 in cash ready to get low. You're ready to get low. You got your fake passports, 30,000. When the operation's over, it's over. And that's what it looks like happened. It looked like everything was coming down around her. Her agents just got caught. I think they were sentenced, and not very much. I think they got sentenced to like time served or something. So who knows if they were informing on people. But it looks like that operation was over, and it's really funny that it didn't get too much attention to the news. It could be a major like Watergate level scandal. So all right, so just to speak briefly about Brian's character again, I didn't know him super well. We haven't talked in 30 years, but he did kind of have this aura about him that people bring up. Like he had this kind of Christian Bale, American psycho, arrogant persona. But it was just a persona because I got to know him and we joke around. Like I had a group of friends called the A1 Steak Posse, and we were like the immigrant kids, working class kids, biracial kids, Black kids, African kids, immigrants. And our crew was basically the poor group of a very rich and privileged school. So a lot of very rich and privileged people attended the private school that I went to with Brian Walshe. And of all these really rich and privileged people, he was one of the few people who was actually friendly with me and my group of friends who were all pretty much working class people. And he was, he was definitely a little flamboyant with his wealth. And I think he's two things is he's new money. His father is not from money. His father's like a kind of self-made man who joined the military and then became a doctor and then made his money there. And his wife is actually, his father's wife, his mother is actually Iranian or Persian. So he was biracial all the time too. So I never knew he was biracial. He didn't advertise the fact that he was Persian back in high school. But through rumors and other things, like I've heard he might have had his father might have been like verbally and mentally abusive with him. I know he went on to Carnegie Mellon and he didn't graduate. I think he had some problems there, but I don't think that's any indicator of him being a killer. I do definitely think that he had some issues with his father, which resulted in mental health issues, which is the other thing. And I see people labeling him a sociopath. So him called a sociopath is from a court filing from his cousin who is trying to get his father's money, Brian's father's money. So there's a big court filing going on about Brian's father's estate. Brian's father was a rich guy. Apparently they had some tension. According to Brian, they made up. According to his mother, it looks like he's in good standing with the mother. I think the mother might be running the estate right now. But this cousin who wanted to take his father's estate and was so angry and tried to take the money from his cousin, from his uncle, you would think that the money would go from father to son, but I guess this guy tried to take advantage of the kind of friction between Brian and his dad and use it to try and get himself in the will. So all of that, him being a sociopath, him being violent, comes from this court filing, which is basically made from Brian's cousin trying to take his father's money from him. So yeah, I don't think he was a sociopath at all. Like, he was a cool enough kid in high school. I understand why people are making him out to be this kind of rich, arrogant sociopath, which is maybe an outward persona, but deep down he was a cool guy. He had no violent or bullying mentality there. He wasn't necessarily mean-spirited. Didn't have any problem being angry with women that I can remember. But yeah, that's it. I'd say free Brian Walshe. I don't think he did it. I think there's a way deeper and bigger investigation going on with these intelligence services who really need to be looked into right now. I think that's where the focus should be, not all this focus on Brian. I think, the focus could be she still could be alive. I'm not convinced she's dead as of yet. There's no evidence that she's dead. She's gone. If she is a spy, it looks like she is to me, man. She's walking like a duck and she's looking like a duck to me. And she could have flown like a duck spy back to Serbia. That could be one thing. It could have been that the intelligence agencies knocked her off and they don't want to get caught for it, so they framed the husband. He's an easy path, you know what I'm saying? He's had previous problems with laws. He's had mental health issues. He has a somewhat aloof personality, but he's definitely a patsy in this. There's definitely a bigger conspiracy, and I look forward to investigating and seeing it unfold and seeing all these people trying to slander my old high school classmate as some type of psychopathic killer proved wrong. And I'm pretty willing to bet the house on that's what's going to happen. All right, y'all. Reality Theory. Check out all the other episodes. Thanks for checking me out.